Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to get together and powwow a bit in these energies. So we're a couple days, let's see what's today. I don't even know what day it is. I think it's Thursday. It's just 2 days past the eclipse. And of course, now we're officially in the eclipse window, the corridor between the two. And so I know a lot of us are really exhausted right now, like soul level exhaustion. For me, it started a couple days before the eclipse, and then I kind of lightened up, and then the last 2 or 3 days I've been in it again, and just really tired. What it feels like to me, though, it's interesting because I keep having this visual of like a finish line where like you're running a race and you're putting all your energy towards it, and all of a sudden you cross the finish line and you can finally collapse. And that's what it feels like to me, like, especially because a lot of us have been working on this for eons, for lifetimes, right? And holding the line and holding the line and holding the line and having our entire lives and soul plan be around not losing touch with the truth and with the visionary aspect of ourselves, and holding on to it all throughout the timelines, the mystery schools and the priestess societies where we just held it close all this time. And so it's interesting that I'm feeling that energy because it does seem like we've crossed some sort of threshold or graduation. There's this graduation celebration type of energy where something has really shifted. And of course that's true because the darkness has lost its hold. We're seeing that, how it's up and visible in the world and on a deeper level, at the very deepest level in the quantum space. It's already been defeated. It's already over, this phase in human evolution being over. So there is a sort of finish line type of exhaustion energy. At the same time, as the false programs and the false reality collapses outside of us, is collapsing within us as well, because we've all been interwoven with it, conditioned into it, even if we've been holding a space outside of it. A lot of us that never really got it right in the world, still we have all the self-hatred or the self-abandonment or the confusion that came as a result of being alive on this planet with amnesia, right? As much as you might have held on to. So all of that shaking off behind the scenes as well, where it's not like, I think there is a lot of clarity. I know a lot of us are having a lot of realizations. We've been talking about this, in both the darker patterns and the reason and purpose for them, and seeing, like a lot of healing and relationships and forgiveness and awareness and all this beautiful sort of continuity between our timelines in this lifetime and throughout the others, like I was talking about in that last reading. But at the same time, there's a lot that's just a lot of density that's just leaving on a cellular level that we can't necessarily pinpoint. And so a lot going on. I know a lot of us are up a lot at night. I've been up like, oh my gosh, like sometimes a lot of nights, the last few nights, several nights, like 3-4 hours in the middle of the night, like just unable to sleep. It's just a dense, heavy time. And I know that there's a lot of us also that are feeling the new energy that's coming. And doesn't it feel like there's just this, if we feel into the field, it's like this huge, limitless reality, this huge, limitless, weightless, infinite reality. You can feel it. And it's almost like it's like, it's not here yet, but you can feel it. But then it also triggers that, like, well, maybe, maybe it's not coming, in certain moments where you're like, I don't know, maybe it's not coming. And yet we know that it is. So we've been talking about this. We talked about this in the last couple readings ago, where a couple of us were honing in on end of March, a shift with end of March, and, all these things, right? So honing in on these timelines and holding space for them at the same time, kicking off a lot of density. So it's kind of like both. I know some people are having a lot of synchronicities and a lot of really magical things coming into their lives. So it seems like if you put us all together, there's a mix of the new and the old, and the depth of the ego death that we're going through right now is actually really exciting. And for me, it's like I've been through a lot of dark nights of the soul. I've been through a lot of alchemies. I've been through a lot of trials. And in the beginning, there was a lot of resistance and kind of, fighting, and they were, within, and they were really dark. And then there was like huge, like alchemy, in the beginning, it's like, wow, you're just like chunking off these huge pieces. And then after a while you get really good at it, and it's kind of not that big of a deal. Like you're like, oh, another dark night of the soul. Cool. I'm going to feel amazing tomorrow. So you just kind of breathe through it. But this one for me actually feels really dense and heavy, which is exciting to me because it's indicative of what a huge crossover graduation that it is, what we've done and what's able to leave now. And so I often say, like, the crazier, the better. I don't feel crazy now. I feel, and I think a lot of us are not necessarily feeling crazy. We're feeling exhausted and just sort of like 10 of wands of energy where you're like, I need to just lay this down. But it's like the heavier, the better, because that's how you know that you're releasing the last final bits of these programs within you. You're down to the bottom of the barrel. And that's what it feels like to me. Like there's just such a heavy weight that you feel it, and there's a celebratory energy in that. So I'm gonna jump into the cards and see what else wants to come through in association to them. So let's get an overall energy for where we're at right now. Wow, I love this. This is probably my favorite card in this animal deck, and I haven't gotten it in a really long time, like maybe a year or something. So White Raven Spirit, trust in the magic, and that's a 66 number. So sixes, if you've been listening to me, you've heard me say this a million times. Sixes for me are always about embodiment and gaining more of ourselves and more of our soul. And so that's one of the things that I've really, really been feeling is like we're getting ourselves back. We're getting all of ourselves back. Now that these programs and these trapping systems have loosened, they're not holding us anymore. It's like before there were like all these like little like stakes in our energy fields where it's like you had to like maneuver around them. So you couldn't feel your full flow. You had to move around these things, and then you'd bump into them and they'd get triggered and you'd get paralyzed or fight or flight or, whatever. It's like now it's like everything's loose. You can kind of just swim through it. I think we are swimming through it, and kind of like, these things are falling away, being pushed off. But at the same time, and I think that's where that realization, all the realizations and the puzzle pieces are coming in. It's like, because there's nothing really in the way anymore. So it's like this flooding of things coming back in and this flooding of things leaving, really, really intense. But that reminder to just trust that this is deep magic and it's purification as well with the white, but also that we're getting ourselves back. That which has never been us is leaving, and that which is, and there's also that reminder. I had a session with a woman the other day, and she was so masterful, and it was really beautiful to see how when she would speak something and her energy would immediately respond, which felt very collective to me as well, where that's true for all of us, a lot of us, if we're on this edge where being careful with our words, but what we're commanding or putting into the program happens very quickly. Of course, when we're in a lot of density, we don't even have the energy to think of, commanding anything. And sometimes like now it seems like a time for a lot of us to just allow that purge to happen. But one of the things that she was saying, that was kind of side note, but one of the things that she was saying was because there was a lot clearing from her, of course, right, in these energies. And she was saying, and always calling forth those places that have been empty to be filled with the highest light, or however she said it, her version of that. And so there's a bit of that as well, where there's so much clearing going on, that reminder that the empty places are being filled with the highest light, our highest light, our highest versions of ourselves, that which has been kept away from us, our divinity being purposely kept away from us through all of these programs and all these trapping systems and all these distractions and all these illusions and delusions and siphoning off of energy leaks and all the things, the entire false matrix that's harvesting our energy, getting that all back. A lot of us, enough of us have consciously unplugged from these programs, sat in that darkness and stared it in the face and said, no, I don't believe you. I don't believe you anymore. So we've talked about this a lot. If you're someone who has been collapsing those fear programs within you, then you might have had a rough 2 or 3 or 4 years where they were all coming up to be seen, and you had to feel them. And we were feeling them for the collective that wasn't able to do that didn't sign up to do that for whatever reason, a lot of us, the real empathic, sensitive ones, doing this, feeling that collapsing those programs and using our free will to choose differently. Okay, part of how this and loosening, part of, we're all playing our part as God fractals and in this grand symphony of awakening. So some of us playing that part, loosening up the energies, while others were, going in and really working the realms, working the realms in the astral. Everybody playing their part, but a lot of that loosening and getting our loosening to the point where it's over, and it's up on the surface. Okay, right? So leaving or receiving more of ourselves. So that's very beautiful. And then as that happens and that settles in and we integrate into these new energies, that's when our holograms can start to change and start to reflect this, reflect us in this energy, with our pieces back, with our true transmission, our true energetic frequency and signature going out into our field, magnetizing and matches to that. Right before, we were playing out a lot of distortions. We were broadcasting a lot of the programs, and so we were getting a mixed bag. We were getting the distortions back, which we could then use to unravel those distortions and unravel those programs. But being at this point now, soon coming in where your transmission is pure, and that's where life starts to feel that heaven on earth timeline. It's all about the cleanup and the reflection of what we're holding within ourselves. Big soul retrieval energy right now. Yeah, so let's see I was just going to say, I wanted to see what the card was, the Three of Air. Yeah, and that soul retrieval energy can involve a lot of heartache and reconnecting with that heartache. And I had this come up, in fact, in my morning cards, it was this in a different deck. I have like 6 different tarot decks, but yeah, the heartache card, and it was very much about that inner child wound, of feeling that you're wrong, like all of society's little hoops and corralling, and and meanwhile your little free spirit wanted to just be itself. It wanted to be its white raven magical self, and being corralled into distortions, and then feeling really bad about yourself, and then those patterns taking hold and those neural pathways taking hold, and then all the bad choices that we made because of that, just a lifetime of grief and longing, and so a lot of that flooding back in as well, as well as the realizations of, wow, I'm free now. I can be as big as I want. Like everything I've always seen is being validated and vindicated and acknowledged in the outer world, and all this sort of like, homecoming type of energy. But at the same time, it's like that little girl, like the other morning when I got that card, I think it was just yesterday. I don't know. Every day feels like a year to me. There's just so much that happens. Also being so exhausted, time feels really, really slow. But also a lot of the exhaustion is all the things that we're doing behind the scenes and the things that we're clearing that we're not even aware of. And even when we're up for hours at night, it's like we're working. It's like sometimes you have to take a break from all that you're doing in the astral, and sometimes you have to be slightly awake for things to leave. So there's a wisdom to all of that as well. There's just like so much work that we're all doing, thus the exhaustion. But anyway, so yesterday morning, I just felt that inner child and that part of me that felt that she was wrong. And I was just sobbing and telling her that, it was a real soul retrieval, and it was like my future self talking to my past self, and feeling that continuity where the timeline of that fracture, this fracture, and all the things that happen because of that collapsing and coming back into this continuity where we just get to live our embodiment, that deep soul repair. At the same time, I knew there was more that I needed to do. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to go the whole way. I feel like we were talking about this about a month ago too. We did another level of this. Now it's because it's cyclical, right? So now we're on a deeper or it's a spiral actually. So now we're on a deeper part of the spiral, the same kind of theme, but deeper, going to a deeper level. Again, the onions. But yeah, it was like, I don't know how I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And I was thinking about like, well, who can I ask for help? What do I need to do? And my soul sister that I always work with. And it's like, we're just always on the same page. I've never met anybody that was so much like me. And so we both know that our souls chose to meet at this time to do this final crossover into this new part of the mission. And so we support each other all the time. There's all this just like crazy synchronicity and magic. And so I was sort of feeling she's the one that can help me. She's like the only one I know that can help me, but I don't want to ask her because I don't even know what that would look like. But it was in the field. And then just this morning we ended up communing, and we were like in the exact same place. And her and I are the ones that will do these like Kundalini releases at the same time, like just through Messenger, because she's in a different country. And we're just feeling it and moving the energy, and also working that collective energy as well. Like I was saying, clearing those programs within ourselves, but then we're two or more gather, clearing them together and getting down to the very bottom, getting down to the very, very bottom of that history, that past, that fracture, and clearing. And it's really intense, and not everybody's doing that. Not everybody's doing that or has to do that. But I think for me, that's why I was paired up with a buddy. We had a buddy because some of those places, like when you have to be willing to sit and stare darkness right in the eye and not flinch. And that's what her and I, the initiations that her and I have both done, have been a lot about surrendering no matter what, and going through really hard, intense things, and yet surrendering and knowing that everything is initiation, right? And having the steadiness to do that, but also having a buddy. So a lot of releases this morning. I feel it was very collective what we did. I think there were other people around the world working these same energies, and having to do with some of the deepest, darkest holds within us, within our bodies, and releasing them from our body. So some people are working the realms, like I was talking about earlier. They're working the realms and releasing in the astral, remote viewing, that type of thing. But if you're a collective embodier, you're releasing it through your body. So you're doing it for the earth. You're doing it for humanity through the body, the physical, the earth, right? And our physical, our bodies, releasing the programs within there and releasing them for all. So a huge, I feel, release this morning that, so today is Thursday. So I'm curious if anybody else felt that this morning, or felt something shift in that regard. So just throwing that out there. Let's see what else. We're getting. Wow, our sun is coming out. It's been really cloudy today and windy. The Queen of Wands. Okay, so that's validating what I was saying about the sixes and pulling in from our own soul signature. So getting down to the bottom, whether you're part of the team that's doing that deep work, or even if you're not, you're going to be benefiting from it, because there's huge unpluggings for humanity collectively in terms of the embodiment. Okay, remember this card with the 6 is about embodiment, embodying our souls. And when we do that, this validating what I was saying earlier, Queen of Wands is magnetic. She's in her power, her circuitry is intact, she's not leaking her energy, and therefore what she's transmitting is a true match to her. So what she's pulling in through that magnetism, through that circuitry that gets to run and build momentum, which then pulls things in, is a match to her. It's a match to her. So okay, that's what's coming. That's what's coming in this energy. But yeah, there's a lot of this going on collectively in the field, or individually as well. Okay, so we get 2 cards here. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, that's so funny, because I saw this and I was like, oh, it's the Queen of Wands again, because she's often wearing red, but it's not. It's the Empress. But here's the Queen of Wands. So we got the Queen of Wands twice with the Empress in the middle. That is such gorgeous, gorgeous energy. So for any of you that are feeling this type of energy and feeling really heavy and really sort of like, oh my gosh, because it's a death of the old, and that's what I've been feeling. It's like a life review of the old earth, where you're just running through all the ways that you were trapped in false reality, where you had consequence from being trapped in false reality, where you got pretzeled, where you leaked your energy, where you were feeding these systems and you didn't have your own life force, all of that, claiming all of that back. But if you're feeling that energy, just a reminder that to trust, and that it really is about getting yourself back. And so again, there's that energy of the harder the better, because that's how much you're getting, that's how much you're clearing. That's how much you're clearing. That's how much of yourself you're getting back. So the Queen of Wands, the Empress, and the Queen of Wands again surrounded by this. So this is so much feminine, magnetic power and result, right? Consequence. The consequence of the choices that you've made to pull back your energy, to stop leaking to systems and energies and things that were only ever created to steal from you and from humanity, pulling back your energy. Here's a real clear picture of the result of that, the reward of that. And what I'm noticing a lot with the files is the individual choices that people are making, like Tom Hanks not being allowed back. He had dual citizenship to Greece, and he's not allowed there anymore. The prime minister, whatever he is, revoked it, right? So a lot with that, like people, or people, not going to concerts or watching the movies, or pulling. So again, we know that that's how we create. And that's how we align with our highest, fullest expression, is we stop to give our energy and our attention to things that we're not in alignment with. And a lot of people doing that in their individual choices, and that's where the real change is going to happen, where it's just, and we've always heard that, at this point, at this shift in the ages, it's the people that aren't in integrity aren't going to be able to get away with it anymore. And that reflects on many different levels where, the energy is not supportive of them. So they try to do something, and it's just, the momentum's not there. It's just not working. It falls flat. But also with people feeling that energy, not wanting anything to do with it, because we're becoming more energetically sensitive. We're able to read energetic signatures. And then if that's, not you, well, then there's all these disclosures in the world that make it really, really obvious so that you can make your choices, right? So a lot in this reading around choices, around not choosing or focusing on the things that led you down this path of heartache. Now, of course, was nothing wrong with that in the grand scheme of things, because this is where we're at in human evolution. We're coming out of the dark ages, the Kali Yuga, and so this is the trek that we had to take. And so it was all our perfect awakening, our perfect initiations, our trials, and our perfect catalysts and divine cosmic setups and all of that. But now we're at this point where we can very clearly see the free will. The fire, the wands is very much about the will and the solar plexus and the fire and the choice and the activation, the free will to choose where you focus. So that becoming really, really clear for a lot of people. Okay, so let me do. It's funny. Last time I talked for a half hour before I even got into cards. Now I'm barely over 20 minutes. So. That's cool. We have lots of time for cards today. Yeah, exactly. The Dream Thief. And refusal of the call. And so that's a 13. And the 13 is that divine feminine energy. So there's all that energy that steals, and it steals the life force. It steals this. This is the divine feminine energy within all of us. When we get that magnetism and we listen to our souls, we're able to transmit and pull in from this. And so this is the whole program that wants to suck that energy away, to distract you from your own inner well where you have everything that you need, make you feel like you have to look outside of yourself or be afraid that something's going to happen to you, as if you're not the creator of your whole reality, right? That whole program that everyone has been subjected to, giving your power away to systems and lies. Really, this is the lie. This is the lie. But the refusal of the call, that's also where a lot of us were, because we were so mind controlled. So we weren't using our will. We weren't turning towards that solar energy that encourages us that's always there waiting for us to choose it. Our soul that's always waiting for us to turn towards it and take action on it. Our will, our masculine energy to take action on our inner feminine, right? Always talking about this. And when we don't do that, that's when we're leaking our energy to this, and we're feeding the false systems, okay? But all of this being on the table now, I don't know if I've ever gotten this in a collective reading. So I think it's interesting that it's up here on the page right now, on the table right now with this trust and magic card. It's like, this one is visible. This is like the files, or all the disclosures within our own lives or our families, or the things that you couldn't see before, but now you can, because things have been loosened, and you can move things around, and you can see the truth because this has been loosened. It's up. There's also like a crystal ball. He's covering the crystal ball. Doesn't want you to look inside of it. And there's that white raven, that seeing, where you can see now. You can see. So that's beautiful. Okay. just an encouraging message. I wanted to read because it is quite heavy. It is quite heavy, and a lot of us are really tired. And when you don't have a lot of energy and you can't do stuff, it's hard to move your energy, and it's hard to get perspective, and day after day of just like barely being able to do anything and not feeling like you want to do anything. It can be a little intense. So here we have a goddess card, a Celtic goddess, I believe that is, and potential. So potential, that's a 9 card. 9's always coming through as like you're almost there, you're in the tunnel, keep going, and there's just this. So that's a lot of the message of this reading is this potential. That's what this is. Just wow, so much potential. So what I was talking about in the beginning, where a lot of us are feeling that energy, feeling this energy over here, and all this limitlessness and this potential. It's like, yeah, that's what we could have always seen that through this crystal ball, except for this thievery, this sucking of our energy, this stealing from us, creating illusions. It's like David Bowie in the labyrinth with his balls, and she throws it, you have no power over me, and the whole thing falls. And that's where we're at right now. So just that encouragement and reminder, and of the great potential and where we're at, and just to keep going, and to trust that vision, to trust that knowing that you have, even if it's kind of dark and heavy. Again, the darker the better, because it means that you're uprooting. You're uprooting the things that are needing to go, or those things are being uprooted and they're leaving, and to trust that. Again, trust the magic to allow that process. Where we're at right now is so profound, and it's where so many of us have been waiting for and working towards for such a very, very long time, remembering the roots of this energy, the inception point of it, our galactic history, and a lot of us having those memories, those deep memories. So a lot of the fatigue that we're feeling as we're crossing this finish line, as this stuff is being exposed, we're finally here. It's just eons worth of warring, galactic battle, planets exploding, just all of the horrible things that we might be looking out in the world and thinking, gosh, that's so horrible, and I can't believe this is happening. Well, it's happened to us too throughout our time. So the levels of things that we're remembering but not consciously, the things that are coming up and being released are just so incredibly deep that it can be very overwhelming. But again, it's so huge what's happening. And on the other side of this is very much this limitless. I'm pretty tired today, so I feel like I'm not so great with my words. Part of me was like, I should just wait. Maybe I'll have energy later, but I doubt I will. And I kind of just wanted to read and support those of you that are also very tired. So I apologize for being, I feel like kind of like a little Eeyore, like just very mundane with my words, but it's okay. Just showing up as I am, as is the way, right? To be authentic and just show up and trust. So anyway, that great potential, that reminder, just a reminder, right? And that coming out underneath, trust the magic, trust your vision, trust what you know, it's real, it's true. And we are going to get through this. And we're all feeling it. We're all feeling it. Maybe not everybody, but oh my God. Underneath the 3 of air is the 3 of air. So, wow. If that doesn't validate the depths which we are going to, the whole way down to the bottom, And even if you are not personally going the whole way down to the bottom, humanity is, it's some of us are, everybody's holding a different place. Some people are meant to hold the higher frequency. Some people are meant to go the whole way down to the bottom and with eyes wide open and stare at everything. And some people are meant to hold the structure together a little bit longer while things, all that for the transition. And, but I think probably the ones that are watching this today are in this energy. I think that's kind of my tribe, because that's, where I'm at, right? So you would resonate with me the most if you were similar. So anyway, a lot of intense energy. Okay, let's see. Just really highlighting that also, the roses. So those of you on the rose path, the rose lineages, we've seen it all. We've been here from the beginning, holding the crying the tears of remembrance while things got more and more separate and more devastating. Again, the atrocities that have happened to the innocent and to the truth and to the mother and to the unity are We carry them. We carry them in ourselves. We carry them in our memories. We carry them in our gnosis, and we carry them in our vision as well. You know, we've held on to them all this time, but it's been very, 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 very painful and exhausting. I think a lot of us feeling that deep exhaustion, soul exhaustion. But again, the divine feminine. So again, here, see the 13. He's stealing. Who's he stealing from? You know, who's he stealing from? What is he stealing? Of course, we all have that feminine energy within us, whether we're a man or a woman. But some of us really being a life path and mission to hold on to that unity, the unity, the truth of reality, the goddess energy, the divine feminine energy that welcomes everything in, and holds it all, and is holding space for it all to come back home, holding space for a really, 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 really long time. So the Four of Coins, as I was saying, the Four of Coins, that is kind of a pulling back your energy and protecting something. You know, that's what we've been doing. We've been protecting this wisdom. We've been protecting this knowing, even as others may have you know, outcast us or, you know, ridiculed us because we weren't actually playing the game that this one presented as the true reality. We were always a little outside of it. You know, it's like, my friend was saying today, because I was talking about how, like, you know, just being spectrumy and being like, you know, star-seeded, right? But it's like autistic, right? And she's like, we're all autistic. We're all autistic. We're all running around, you know, like not doing this, you know, because we were meant to hold that memory. We were meant to hold that memory, but also the society can really kind of beat you down if you're not doing it right? So all that time of being told you're incompetent or laughed at or, you know, whatever it was, but holding on to it anyway and holding it on for everyone. And it's that for all of humanity, right? Even when they rejected you, you just knew your mission, you knew what you needed to do. And in this deck here, it's like all these coins, you know, all these jewels and gems. It's like, there's a different meaning for this card. It can also be like you're being stingy and you want everything for yourself, but that's not how it's coming through in this reading right now. It's like you're sitting on a gold mine because you know it's a gold mine, and you know that you have to still believe in it, because otherwise you're just left with this one, you know, like trying to scare you so that you never find it, right? You're like, I know it's here, and I'm that goose on my egg, you know, I'm gonna sit on my nest egg, and I'm not getting off until it's time for the world to awaken, and that time is now, right? But also it's that knowing and that holding true to your soul, to your visioning, that is that magnetism, right? That pulls everything in. So just another confirmation of that. Okay. Yeah. Closing door completion. So that's coming out underneath the Empress. So it's like a lot of divine feminine energy in this. And again, she's red, you know, she's the red. There's the rose energy again, the Magdalene energy, the divine feminine energy, and the closing of the door. It's like we were meant to hold this mission, to hold this vision. Again, I don't have words. I'll just keep saying the same things over and over again. I'm not feeling very creative, but hopefully the energy is there. You know, we've been holding this remembrance, holding this gnosis for so long. That's been what the journey has been. And now the journey is, changing. The mission is changing. So it's like closing the door, we're completing. So there's like what I was talking about, that crossing the finish line, where it's like you've been going for eons, battling and outrunning and facing this one, and trying to, you know, hold on to the globe, the knowing that this one keeps trying to steal, and it's just been absolutely exhausting, and coming across that finish line and collapsing. And so there's validation of that, and here's your power and your sovereignty that you held on to all this time, even as you went through the heartache and you went through all the grief, and then you lost yourself, and, you know, blah blah blah. There's still a part of you that always held on, that always you never lost that spark. And so 5's also being a number, a frequency of change. So there's big changing energy in this. So yeah, I feel like this is really validating what I was saying in the beginning about that graduation energy. Okay, let's do one of these. Where are we at? 34 minutes. I might make this actually a little bit of a shorter reading today. Let's see. We'll see. Intention. Oh, interesting. Intention. And so there's what we were talking about before up here with this, choosing not to feed this one, right? And gaining your magnetism back, sitting on your throne. And now more than ever, just really withdrawing from that, which is not in, not this, not this. Anything, we're withdrawing from it all, and having that intention, and really, and there's that sacral energy, that creational energy, also the orange with the fire horse, where it's like, just it's more of that holding steady energy. You're still holding steady. It's like we might be completing the first phase of the, see, there's that orange again. It's like it's kind of leaking out, but it's like we're taking the medicine of what we gained on the first part of the journey with us forward. There are things that we learned in how to endure, when all the world was this, while we held on to some vague remembrance. There was a certain dedication and like this, like the intention, the courage, the focus, the can't find words. Just the resilience, right? So it's like the mission is changing, but we're bringing this forward. I was getting this message the other day for myself personally, and it came up with the card resourcefulness, where it's like we learned a lot. We learned a lot in these trials, and even though we're moving on into another phase of magnetizing things in, sitting on our throne of sovereignty, making the right choices, and experiencing a different life, still holding that line. We're really, really good at holding that line and holding that memory. So holding it still through, carrying that thread through the whole way, and still, let me do a moon card here, and then we'll see where we're at. Realization. Okay, realization and the threes are always about that moving forward energy, that fruition energy, the one and the three, the mother, the father, and the child, the creational energy. So again, as we move forward, so just a short, encouraging message here amidst a lot of heaviness. Again, this double message of heartache, double message of pain, double message of everything that we've done throughout the eons, coming into a sort of completion, closing line type of energy. A lot of messaging around holding on, holding that line, holding that intention, holding that vision, trusting the magic, trusting in the potential of what's coming. Everything that we've seen throughout all this time as part of that divine feminine collective that's been part of the visionaries, holding on to this all this time, the intention, and then this profound message of, once we get on to this, is like the new earth energy, right, that we're walking into. So just holding on a little bit longer. That's what this feels like to me. Hold on. Again, this nine energy of your persevere, keep going. You're in the tunnel. You're in the tunnel, but you're coming out. You're coming out into this beautiful new earth energy where you're brand new again. You're a child again. You're Alice in Wonderland. So a lot of messages of that as well, with this pulling in that which is a match to you, and really focusing on choosing your alignment and choosing the purity of what you're here for, and dropping everything else. And so all of the intensity and the exhaustion that we're feeling is just this programming. I'm glad that I have cards for when I don't have words. I can just point to things. This programming falling off, uncovering our knowing, so that all of those memories can come back, so that those memories and that continuity can be in our field, transmitting out, so that we can attract in that which is a match to not only us, but us as God sparks, us as a fractal of all that is, this, and playing our part, and those realizations coming in, leading us forward and into walking into our new lives, with the embodiment of the fullest aspects of ourselves, now that this stuff is loosening and shedding from us, but allowing that release to happen, and the pain that we need to feel, we have to feel it to heal it. So again, the more pain you're feeling, the better. I am going to stop there since I'm so tired. I don't even know if I'm going to post this because I feel like I want to offer something that's a bit more dynamic and coded. But I'll listen and see if there's transmissions, if this feels like it might be helpful to some people. So thank you for listening, and again, hang in there. We are, as we know, going to exactly where we've been waiting for all this time, crossing that finish line. And okay, I'm gonna stop. All right, and the big change and completion. Okay, much love to you all. Thank you for being here. We're gonna get through this. We'll see how next week is, if these energies lighten a little bit. Thank you for everything that you're doing inside of yourself, and for all the support, if we're on Facebook, that we offer each other, and sharing memes and just encouraging each other when we're expressing vulnerably and authentically from where we're at, and everybody coming together. And I feel this way too. And the encouragement, and we're not alone, and it's just so beautiful, the community that we found there on that platform, despite the despite the shit all around it, right? Okay, so I'll see you next time if I do. Thank you. Bye.